How networking is like financial investing. I'm Greg. I'm the Introverted Networker. And today I'm asking you the question, why is it that you will take the time and put in the effort to invest in your financial future, but you won't do the same thing with your professional relationships? I talk about networking all the time in my Introverted Networker newsletter every week. It comes out on Tuesday mornings. I post every day on LinkedIn about networking. I give presentations to executives, job search groups, college students, you name it. I talk to people about networking. And when I start off all those presentations, when I talk about those, I generally get a negative reaction when I say the word networking. People just have bad memories, bad emotions, bad feelings around networking. What I try to do is analogize or tie it to something that is probably a little more positive. And the reason why I do that is because I try to show people that the same things you do in other parts of your life that you maybe have good feelings about or positive emotions about apply to networking as well. So that's why I'm talking today about how networking is like investing. And when I say investing, I mean investing is in saving for the future, taking your money and putting it into investments, stocks, bonds, index funds, whatever it is, real estate, whatever you want to invest in. Taking that money and putting it away for later is something that we all kind of understand we need to do. And we do it because we know that in the future, we're going to want that money. And we also do it because there are a lot of things that work with investing that help that money grow. It turns into more. And what I'm getting at here is I want to talk about all the ways that growing your network is similar to investing. So that as you think about it, you think, oh, okay, networking isn't just going to events. Networking isn't going to some conference or some other meeting that's on the calendar where I'm going to meet a bunch of strangers and I'm going to maybe talk to them and maybe have a connection and maybe that will help me because that's what people think when I say networking and they kind of groan and that's the image in their head. And it's not a very positive image. So as a result, they don't want to do it. And so I want to really break this down into a different way to think about networking because my connection loop is a totally different approach to this. And it's something that you don't have to go to networking events. You don't have to do all those negative things that you sort of associate with networking. So that's why I want to talk about it in terms of financial investing and how it's sort of like financial investing. And then, that way, hopefully you feel a little bit more comfortable doing it. You feel like it's something you could do. If you think of it in those terms, it kind of takes away a lot of those obstacles. So let's talk about 6 different ways that networking is kind of like investing. Number 1 is time. What do I mean by time? Investing works when you have time. We think about putting money into an investment, and it might be a savings account, but I want you to think a little bit differently than just saving money in a cash account. I want you to think about saving money in an interest bearing place or in a place that's going to get a higher return if you leave it there. So, one of the big features of investing is if you invest early and if you have time to let your money grow, it will be worth a lot more than what you put in originally. That's the goal. That's the idea. So time helps us out because time allows us to save a little bit here and there. It puts it in a place where the money grows. And as I said, down the road, you've got more than what you originally put in. That's the same with networking. Networking works with time. Networking takes time. It takes time because you're working on building relationships with people. And if you're building relationships with people, you're going to have to wait for them to respond. You're going to have to wait to have conversations. And oftentimes you're going to have multiple conversations or give it time before it really pays off. The point there is just like if you were coming up on retiring from your career and you hadn't saved any money, it's going to be really, really hard to get that time back. So if in networking, if you all of a sudden need a job and you haven't done any networking, it's going to be very difficult to get people to help you because you haven't taken the time. The point here is you need to start early. Just like with investing, start early. Start now. If you're thinking, hey, I need to network, great, start now. If you haven't networked and you're in that situation, it's not impossible to recover. If you're searching for a job, you definitely can do some things to help speed up your networking. But if you're just thinking, hey, I need to network, but I haven't really started, don't wait. Just think of it like investing for a retirement or something down the road. You need to start now. And that's the key, is being able to start and let time help you out. So time is one of the key things. You need to start now. The second thing about networking and financial investing, and this is really talking about financial investing, is something called dollar cost averaging. And if you don't know what dollar cost averaging is in investing, it is that you invest the same amount on a consistent basis to try to maximize your cost basis. So what that means is, if you were to invest in a stock and you had $100 that you could invest every week, and you invested $100 every week, the stock price is going to go up and down. And if it's up and you invest $100, you're going to buy fewer shares. And if it's down and you invest $100, you're going to buy more shares. So the goal is you're buying more when it goes down and you're buying less when it goes up. So it's a way to be more efficient with your investing, so that in the long run, you get a better return. In terms of networking, works the same way. You're going to invest the same amount of effort in reaching out and connecting with people and having conversations. Maybe it's 15 minutes a week, maybe it's 15 minutes a day, maybe it's an hour, maybe it's more, whatever you can invest. But the point is, you do the same small amount on a consistent basis. And in some relationships, 15 minutes is going to get you a lot. And in some relationships, 15 minutes is probably not going to get you as much. But for you, you can't really control how much you're going to get out of each conversation that you have. It's sort of like a stock price. You can't really control the stock price. So what you're focused on is can I put in the same effort on a daily, weekly, monthly basis with my connections in a way that, when they're really good ones, I'm going to maximize my returns. When they're ones that maybe take a little bit more nurturing and a little bit more time, um, I'm still only spending the same amount of time. So you're giving the same amount of effort, you might get different sort of returns. So think about networking in that dollar cost averaging sort of way, because then you can just focus on yourself. You can focus on what you can control, which is putting in the effort to reach out to people and connect. Okay. That third way to think about networking versus investing is compounding. So compound interest has been referred to by different people. It's attributed to Albert Einstein, who said it's the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest. But the idea is that once you put in effort, once you put in money and you leave it there, again, you leave it for a period of time, you're starting to get a return. It grows, and then it grows on the growth, right? So you put some money in, you get some money that comes to you in dividends or return. Now you have more money, and then your future money grows on that money. So the idea of compounding. And so how does that work in networking? Well, once you sort of make a connection and start talking to somebody, that person might help you out. You can help them out. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. But then that person can introduce you to other people, maybe a new person that you then have the same conversation with. You work the connection loop, you talk to them, you listen, you give, you're easy to help, and then they introduce you to somebody else. That first person could continue to introduce you to people. So each person that you connect with in your network can connect you with more people if you approach this the right way, if you make the deposits, if you dollar cost average, if you give it time. Your network will start to compound, just like your money compounds in investing. So if you think about it like that, that makes it so you don't have to think, I need to go meet 50 people today. You don't necessarily need to meet 50 people. You need to meet one person. Have that conversation, make it valuable for them, help them out. They're going to introduce you to somebody new. Okay. Then you do that again. You keep doing that. And before you know it, that one person turns into 2, 3, 4, 10 people. And you've used that power of compounding in order to grow your network. Instead of thinking, I'm going to go talk to 10 people today, that breaks it down, makes it a little bit smaller, and lets you use that power of compounding in order to grow your network. Number 4, Diversification. So, one of the key rules in investing is that you diversify your portfolio. So, again, this goes back to the idea that you're going to not just invest in one stock or not just invest in one fund. Because when you do that, um, if that stock goes way up, that's great. If it goes down, then all your money's in one place. Same thing with your network. You want to invest your time and your connections with people who are a little bit different. If you talk to the same people who are in the same circle all the time, they're going to know of the opportunities that you know of, and they're going to know of the opportunities that the other people in your circle know of because they're all the same. So you want to have a diverse group of people you're connecting with. Maybe people who are not necessarily just in your industry or in your field or your function, but people who are maybe adjacent to it, people who kind of work with your field, but maybe aren't into it. And the idea here is that as you meet different people, more diverse people in terms of what they do in the world, you're going to find new opportunities and new people to connect with. And you're going to have different circles of people in your network. And so that can bring you very unique opportunities when you think about diversification in that sort of way. Fifth way that networking is like investing is when you think about liquidity and leverage. So, what I mean by this is you are investing or saving your dollar cost averaging, you're putting money in, you're giving it time to compound, you're diversifying so that you're safe in terms of your investment. And then at some point down the road, you have the liquidity, meaning you have the money to withdraw for whatever it was you were saving for. Maybe you were just saving for a new car or a house, or you're saving for retirement, or you're saving for education. You have that money when you need it, but it's only there because you put in the time and the effort and you put in the money in the first place. So the idea there is that you can get that out sort of from your network if you've invested in it when you need something and you say, hey, I'm really thinking about my next opportunity and I would love to, get your perspective on it. That person, because you've invested in the relationship, is more than willing to say, yeah, let's talk, right? This isn't you showing up and just asking for something before you've done all the work to invest. And so that's really what you're going for is not sort of keeping score and collecting favors, but you're trying to build up this capital in your personal and professional relationships so that this relationship capital, sometimes it's called social capital, where you can get that out when you really need it. But again, it's not there today if you haven't invested in it. The other piece about that is leverage, meaning you can a lot of times get way more back from your network than you might have felt like you put in. And that's not to say you shouldn't try to build relationships and be helpful and valuable, but oftentimes you can just like using a little bit of money to control a lot of money. That's the leverage piece of this. You can use a little bit of social capital to get people to help you and get an outsized return. And what do I mean by that? If you help somebody out with a problem they're working on and they see you as a really valuable person, a really valuable connection, when it comes time for you to look for a new job or new opportunity, they might be able to connect you with somebody who gets you hired and that return in terms of income or that job might be a way bigger opportunity than the advice you gave them. But that's the leverage. It doesn't always work that way, but at the same time, it definitely can. So I think of my network is my most valuable asset. And the reason why I think it's my most valuable asset, more than any financial asset I have, is that it drives my financial abilities, my earning capacity, my income capacity. I have a business I run. I'm an independent consultant. Everything that comes in from a revenue perspective comes from my network. And I teach people, I coach people on networking. They pay me to coach them. They pay me to come present to their organization. And all of that stuff comes from my network. So having that network is my asset that brings in more money. So that's why I say it's my most valuable asset. And that leads me to the sixth and the last way in which networking is like investing is it is an asset. And assets either appreciate or depreciate. And assets that appreciate are ones that are valuable, people see as valuable, and that you invest time and effort in. And so if you think of your house, if you improve your house, it's going to appreciate in value. If you don't take care of it and you let it run down, it's going to depreciate. If you don't invest in your network, it's not going to appreciate. It's just going to be connections that you have, names on a list, people in your LinkedIn who you never talk to. And then when you try to leverage it, when you try to tap into it, when you try to go make a withdrawal of that social capital or that relationship capital, it's not going to be there. It's not going to work for you. And so you have to think of a network as something you're going to consistently invest in. You're going to consistently put time into. You're going to consistently add value to it so that it appreciates. So those are the 6 ways that I think investing and professional networking are the same. Like I said at the beginning, I do this because I'm hoping to change people's mindset about networking. People have a really negative mindset, so I try to frame it in other terms in a way that makes it maybe a little more approachable to them. And as I said, this is going to be this week's newsletter. This is going to be in the Introverted Networker. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, but wanted to do this live because I really enjoy creating the content this way. If there are other topics that you're struggling with, if there are other questions that you have, please leave me a comment. If you like these videos, like and subscribe to this channel, like and subscribe to my newsletter. And I'm going to be doing more of these. So I want to hear from you. What are you struggling with in terms of networking? If you reach out and tell me, that's what I can cover in a future video. But until then, hope you have a great week. Go out, meet some interesting people. Remember, always be connecting.